Hi, this is Mrs. Cooper again with a video on Language Paper 2, Exploring Effects and Impacts, and this time we're looking at question 3. So this question on paper 2 asks you to analyse language and structure again. So question 2 will have asked you to do that, and question 3 is also asking you to do the same thing. But this time it's worth 12 marks, so double the weighting of question 2. So you need to make sure for question 3 you are going into far more detail and you're writing more. So do be aware of that, okay? So let's have a look at the question from your mocks. So this question is about text 2, The Pedestrian by Ray Bradbury. And again, it's telling you which lines to look at. So I'd be drawing a line, or I'd be making some highlighting on my extract paper. And it says, explore how the writer presents a clear and vivid image of the main character's surroundings. So clear and vivid are very similar adjectives. They obviously are alluding to the fact that it's a striking image. It's clear, it stands out, and you're looking at how. So the language and structural techniques used to create that image. And again, just like question 2 on this paper, it's asking you to look at settings, so the surroundings of the main character, okay? And of course, it says you must support your ideas by referring to language and structure using subject terminology. So this time I thought we'd have a look at the mark scheme and really look at how we're going to be securing a really good grade on this question. So this is the mark scheme, and that is your assessment objective that it's assessing you on. To get into a level 6, it's asking you to create a skilled analysis which demonstrates a sophisticated appreciation of how the writer has used language and structure to achieve effects and influence the reader. Now that is quite unclear if you're not a marker. So what that basically is saying is you can't really have a sophisticated appreciation of language and structure if you don't know what it is you're looking for. So step 1, you must know what these language and structural devices look like in a piece of creative writing. So what exposition looks like. So how the writer drip feeds the information throughout their extract, on what information they choose to give, on what they choose to withhold. What's juxtaposition, so the use of contrast, simile, metaphor, emotive language. So if there are any techniques that you're still unsure of, please do ask. Make sure that you know exactly what you're looking for when you get in there, okay? It says here, candidates' analysis of both language and structure is detailed. Okay, so you do really need to make sure that your effects are explained in detailed and integrated. What it means by that, and it also refers to that too here, precisely selected and integrated subject terminology. So rather than saying the writer uses a simile when it says I was as fast as a horse, this is a simile because it uses like or as. They don't want that. That is wasting time. If you just say the simile as fast as a horse is effective because. So straight away you're labeling it. Do not explain what a simile is. Your examiner knows what it is. They want you to explain why the writer has chosen to use it and what the effect is. If you can just integrate that subject terminology and embed your quote, you are going to save time explaining. And that is where your marks are going to be. Your explanation of how the terms are used to enhance the response. So in other words, be judgmental, be evaluative. The writer uses the simile to effectively show this description. They use this adjective to increase the tension. Be very evaluative in how this terminology is used in this piece of creative writing. Okay. So I've just also highlighted this because this is a guide to the examiners, which I think is important. It guides the examiner to give credit for accurate use of relevant terminology, again integrated into responses, with a precise understanding of features and their effect. In other words, do not just feature spot. Do not just say the writer uses an adjective. Give your quote and that's it. You must explain what the effect is in order to get good marks. And again, this is very important. It says you must refer to language and structure. An imbalanced response, which does not achieve a reasonable balance, cannot achieve the higher levels. In other words, analyse language and structure equally, okay? choose quotes where you can do both. So let's have a look at this extract. So I'd start by reading the explanation of what this extract is about if you've not done that already. So it's from a short story, The Pedestrian, by Ray Bradbury. In this extract, the main character, Leonard Mead, enjoys an evening stroll. Straight away, I'm expecting his surroundings to be outside, to be in the evening, to be at night. It gives me a clue of what I'm looking for. This is forbidden, as in the year that the novel is set, 2053 AD, such simple pleasures have been prohibited, that means stopped, by an extreme government with absolute power. Interesting, so even before I read, I know I'm going to look at a character taking a walk outside and perhaps experiencing some kind of tension because he shouldn't be there, okay? So it begins with to enter out, just as predicted. So I'd address that in my answer. The surroundings are outside. And then we go on to find any particular devices. To enter out into that silence that was the city at 8 o'clock of a misty evening, interesting adjective. In November, that might be a symbolic season. It's autumn, it's dark, it's kind of the end of a year, the end of an era. To put your feet upon that buckling concrete walk, interesting use of a verb, buckling, connotations of being unsteady. Which is actually, I'd say, contrasting with concrete, which is quite sturdy. So why is it buckling? Is that because the concrete is unstable? Is it old? Or is it the pedestrian that's buckling? Are they nervous? Then the extract moves on to this really long, complex sentence here that is made up of a number of different clauses that you really want to pay attention to. It's a very, very detailed sentence, so you're going to have to take your time reading it. We've got him trying to make a decision about where to go, and with that coordinating conjunction, but it made no difference, so that additional information that's added in there. And we find more, through the use of exposition, we find more about Leonard here, that he's alone in this outside world, in these surroundings. And we've got that dropping clause, or as good as alone. So actually, that contradicts what was said previously. He was alone or as good as alone, so maybe he's not quite as alone as he seems in his surroundings, but he's certainly alone on that walk, so something to bear in mind. There's a bit of a contradiction there, okay? And that long complex sentence ends with a really lovely image. He would stride off, sending patterns of frosty air before him like the smoke of a cigar. So of course there's a really lovely use of a simile there, and you want to explain what that effect is. Why a cigar? Is a cigar got connotations of being sort of forbidden contraband? Is he kind of strolling off and leaving a foul scent, having a polluting effect on those surroundings because he's doing something that is forbidden in a way, so he's morally polluting the surroundings. And then as the extract moves on, it goes on to tell us that he's done this previously, as suggested earlier. Sometimes he'd walk for hours and miles and return only at midnight to his house. That's quite a short sentence, and the writer wants us to pause there on that time, that midnight, and think, it's a forbidden time. It's got connotations, links with kind of spooky, gothic atmosphere that we could really explain. And on his way he would see the cottages and home with their dark windows. So I'd say the extract's the tone's getting a little bit darker. It was not unequal to walk through a graveyard. Again, more connotations of darkness, of death, that we talk about through those uses of the nouns graveyard, windows, where only the faintest glimmers of firefly light appeared in flickers behind the window. That suggests a sense of kind of secrecy. Fireflies are unusual creatures, and they're flickering behind the windows. We can't quite see them. So just like Leonard himself, that's out in the open, in his surroundings, there's things going on in the background that we're not quite sure of. That theme's continued when it goes on about the grey phantoms. So it's a sense of kind of ghostly things happening in that environment that are perhaps conflicting or contradicting him taking that really bold stroll. So there's lots to talk about here that you do want to pick up on, and ending with that tomb-like building. So a really kind of gothic ending that seems to suggest, foreshadow, if you want to use structure terms, something bad's going to happen to him on this walk. Okay, I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you again soon.